Our first guest is a physician assistant that specializes in anti-aging and aesthetics. He has become South Florida's top injector with his key eye and his skill set. Please help me to introduce Chad Van Horn.
Thank you.
Yes.
It's very generous. I don't know about top South Florida injector, but I'll take it. I appreciate it.
Now, Chad, take us back to the beginning. How did you get started in aesthetics? What was your interest in it?
Great question. I kind of happened upon this industry by accident, kind of just stumbled into it. I was fresh out of PA school, peppering the city with my resume, giving it to anyone and everyone who would interview me, listen. I thought I was going to end up in orthopedics all the way through PA school, so I did interview with some orthopedic practices, but I happened to find this very peculiar job listing on Indeed for a kind of a med spa, and at the time they were just doing IV vitamin drips, like for hangover and boosting immune system and whatnot. And so I went and met with them. I was just intrigued, and they said, here's what we're doing now, and here's what we would like to do. We want to expand our offerings. We want to do the aesthetic injections with Botox and fillers. We want to do hormone replacement therapy. We want to do medically assisted weight loss and a few other things. And I was like, I don't know how to do any of that stuff, but if you're willing to invest in me, then I am willing to invest in you. And we kind of grew up together, and that's kind of how I ended up in this industry. But it actually proved to be a really great fit for me, just because I have kind of a creative side to me. Like, I play musical instruments. I've always been interested in photography. So I think that has also kind of helped play into my skill set because, as you know, aesthetics is kind of this nice blend between medicine and art form.
Yes.
So it's been a pretty good fit for me. I've had a really enjoyable journey and learned a lot along the way.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I think exactly what you said is a science, but it's an art too. You have to be able to kind of be flexible when you're doing like filler or different type of techniques because every body is not the same.
Exactly.
And how does that change? Like, I know each person is different. How do you go about it? Like, how do you approach, I guess, aesthetics?
I mean, I think the first thing that I do is I just listen.
Yeah.
Because everybody has different goals in mind. What bothers one person isn't going to bother the next person, and vice versa. So people come in with a wide variety of goals and desires, and in terms of like what they're looking for in regards to their outcome. So my job is to just figure out how to make them happy, right? And that's going to be different for everybody. So I think just starting with a really good assessment of somebody and just hearing them out. And oftentimes people are very appreciative of that because not every injector, not every plastic surgeon, not every medically licensed professional will take the time to actually listen to what they want. They just kind of like come into it with their preconceived ideas about, oh yeah, I'm going to make them look like this and this and this. And I've been the recipient of some clients who kind of, fell into that where they went in with something and then you had a very opinionated doctor or practitioner was like, well, what you should actually do is this and this and this. So, I mean, that being said, people do kind of rely on me as an injector to use my, professional opinion and my expertise as to what they should do, but it's very individualized,
Gotcha.
as you can imagine.
Awesome. No, I can definitely imagine that because every face, like I said, is different.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to talk to you about kind of like the male aspect. Are a lot more males, is this becoming more socially acceptable for them? Are you seeing a lot more males come through your door? Yeah. Tell me about that.
It's definitely down here in South Florida. It's becoming a little bit more socially acceptable. Gay guys are great at taking care of their face. Straight guys usually come in because their girlfriend got sick of looking at the deep lines in their forehead.
Yeah.
And so, maybe their girlfriend was a client of mine, and then they brought him in. And I think the important part is kind of destigmatizing it for the men. So when it's a straight guy coming in to do it, we call it Brotox, not Botox. And that helps a lot.
Yeah, no, I can definitely understand. I see ads all the time, Brotox. It's interesting, so
yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
And we have some procedures that kind of, cater to men a little bit more. Like I do hair restoration therapies, procedures with like PRP microneedling and injections and things like that. So there are some things that are kind of like, you know, tailored specifically for the guys. But I think as time has gone on, I think it's become a little bit more socially acceptable. A lot of guys just don't even know about it. They don't even know that it's available to them. They don't know what can be. So, you know, I love having that conversation with them just to, you know, show them what we can do. With guys, when it comes to fillers, for example, you know, we're going to inject fillers on a guy quite a bit differently than we would on a female, because there are certain characteristics that cause a face to be feminine versus masculine, and we kind of play into those, you know, characteristics. So with guys, it's a lot of cheek lifting and jawline contouring and giving that kind of chiseled look, whereas women, you're trying to just soften them, making them a little bit more round and feminized. So, but to answer your question, you know, I think more and more guys are becoming a little bit more open to it.
Oh, it's interesting. That's amazing. I see more and more guys going to more med spas, so I couldn't agree with you more. Mm-hmm. Let's talk a little bit about anti-aging. I know you are specialized in that also. Tell us, how do you approach, well, it's a two-part question. I know in South Florida, anti-aging is big, but not usually all over the United States. When I go to New York, like, people don't really know about hormone replacement, things of that nature. Yeah. Tell me why it's so big down here, and why is it so important for male and female as they get older?
To be honest, I think the medical community has been playing catch up to the bodybuilding community. Yeah. And because there's such a strong bodybuilding community down here in South Florida, you had these guys, you know, doing a lot of anabolic steroids, prepping for competitions. They would be the ones educating their doctor, their urologist, their primary care physician about testosterone therapy. So I think the medical community is just now kind of catching up to where the bodybuilding community was. And so, but they saw a need, because all these bodybuilders, they wanted to get results, but they wanted to also be supervised and doing things the right way. Mm-hmm. And I think that kind of drove the anti-aging movement to a certain extent. Just because you see how good people start to feel. Like if they're at a certain age and they've lost, you know, some degree of their hormones, you give those hormones back to them, they feel like Superman. Yeah. So that's fun too. Yeah. Not to mention, you know, the tie-in with anti-aging medicine or hormone replacement therapy and aesthetics is big, because, you know, beauty starts from the inside out, and I like to think of hormones as the internet connection speed of the body, right? Yeah. So it's kind of like when you're in your 20s, the connection speed is like fiber optic, it's lightning fast, it's high speed. Mm-hmm. And as time goes on, as the aging process happens, you know, women after menopause, men after like their 40s, 50s, the hormone levels start to drop, things just start to slow down. That's why metabolism slows down. We start to get the little extra love handles. Mm-hmm. And women experience the greatest changes in their face in their 50s because of the changing hormone levels. Yeah. So if you at least bring up the conversation about potentially starting some hormone-based therapies with somebody right around, you know, that time period, it can actually do a lot in regards to, you know, the future progression of their aging process. I came across one study that one time that was talking about if you maintain a healthy estrogen level in a perimenopausal, postmenopausal female, she's going to lose the collagen in her face 54% less than somebody who's not getting maintained on any particular hormone therapy. Mm. And that's like free fillers right there.
Yeah, I know, seriously. Yeah. Would you say that anti-aging is, like, because I know you approach a lot of your patients through a holistic way. Mm-hmm. Would you say that anti-aging is what you would advise more than, I guess, traditional medicine? Or tell us a little bit about that.
I've never taken a hard line stance on one or the other. I do have a medical license. I do write for prescriptions as they're needed. If somebody, you know, is potentially developing an infection, or I'm trying to prevent an infection, I'll put somebody on prophylactic antibiotics. I'll also talk about, you know, how to keep your nutrition on point and how it's actually reflected in your skin, especially something like the under eyes. Mm-hmm. The under eye area is probably the most sensitive to changes in hormones and water salt balance and nutritional status and iron levels and all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. So I at least bring it up in conversation just to make sure that, you know, we're kind of covering all the bases. But I think there's a place for both. You know, like I've written prescriptions for high blood pressure, and at the same time, I'm also looking for the underlying causes as to why the blood pressure is going up in the first place, and trying to figure out what's the best way to take care of that stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's awesome. That's amazing. Now I want to go back to something you said earlier. I know when you graduated college, you were really hustling to get a job, and you made it happen. A lot of people that are going to be watching this are from the aesthetic community and people that are wanting to enter the community.
Sure.
Can you tell us a little bit kind of what you would advise for someone that maybe is new, graduating college, to jump into this industry?
Yeah, that's a great question. I get asked this question quite a bit. I think there's a few ways that you can go about it. I think utilizing your personal network is huge. Making sure you're cultivating really tight relationships throughout your clinical rotations. Hitting up your friends and family to see if there's any doctors in that network.
Yeah.
You can do something as simple as partnering with a doctor who is required to be the name on the account form to open an injectables account. And a lot of people don't realize this. There's no formal requirements or certifications to open an injectables account other than a medical license.
Yeah.
And if you're an MD DO, all you need is yourself. If you're a PA or a nurse practitioner, and in some states, not in the state of Florida, but in other states, a registered nurse, you just have to have a cosign, a medical director cosign on the account form for you, and you can start to order those products. From that point, you could utilize your immediate network, your friends and family, and just tell them what you're doing. I'm trying to get into this industry. I want to offer these procedures to you, and you just have to find a few people who are kind of willing to let you be their guinea pig.
Yeah.
Another great resource is the vendors themselves, the companies themselves, particularly Allergan and Galderma, who provide the Botox, Juvederm, and then respectively the Dysport and the Restylane.
Yeah.
And if you open an account with them, then sometimes they have money and resources allocated towards training new injectors, so you can actually get training for free on their dime, and
Wow.
they'll bring a trainer out to you and do a one-on-one training, and you're working on live model patients. So there's a few ways that you can go about doing it, but it's a slow process. I'd say on average it takes 3 to 4 years to really kind of build up a faithful following, to kind of like hone in your skill set. I mean, for the first year I was doing it, I was kind of just faking it till I made it, and praying everything went well, and thank God most of the time that it did. But those are a few ways that you can start out as a new injector.
That's amazing. I know a lot of people find value from that, because there's so many providers that I get personally that call me and how do I break into the industry? And I always tell them kind of what you said, practice on your family and friends, take courses, learn, and post on social media.
Yeah.
And that kind of leads me to our next question. How big do you think social media is and impacted on the aesthetic industry, before and afters and things of that nature?
In 2021, it's everything. I mean, it's how you present your body of work. It is your online portfolio. People want to have a sense of what they're walking into. What your vibe is, what your technique is going to be like, what the experience is going to be like before they even set foot through the door.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes they'll come in through other avenues, other means, but I mean, in 2021, everybody's on some social media platform. I think you'd be kind of remiss to not have any social media presence whatsoever. I've procured tons of new clients just from my Instagram page alone. So I think it's paramount.
Nice. No, I couldn't agree more. Social media is huge. It's a new wave.
That's it.
Being in the aesthetic industry so long, I'm sure you've met so many great mentors. Who would you say might be someone that is influential to you?
Oh, man. I got a bunch.
Awesome.
I mean, there's a couple people who have been extremely helpful to me personally on a training level. Danielle White, Deluxe Aesthetics, 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐿, Dr. Matt 𝐦𝐨𝐫𝐞, 𝐥𝐢𝐤𝐤𝐿 Dermatology. Jessica Henderson-Ree, the Lip Queen.
Yes.
She's up in New Jersey, Red Rabbit Aesthetics. I've actually found some great resources on YouTube as well. Anil Rajani, he's in Portland, Oregon. That's where I'm from. The Nadiri Center, Dr. Nadiri. Really great resources on YouTube. I recently did a PDO Threads course with 𝐥𝐢𝐤𝐳, Get Refreshed, down in Coral Gables, and I think he's tremendous. He's a very artistic injector. I've been following his work. He does great work down there. So, yeah, I think I'm constantly learning. You know, like just when you think you got one thing mastered, you find yourself picking up little things here and there from different people, and it's great. You know, you're constantly growing, you're constantly evolving. I think that's what's important, is just to be very open to, you know, continual education and constantly learning and so on. I've been doing this for going on 5 years now, and I feel like I'm kind of just now hitting stride, but I got a long ways to go, but it's good.
Amazing. I'm sure so many providers are going to find so much value from this, from the names that you gave to all the other extra tidbits throughout the interview. Mm-hmm. Chad, tell us a little bit kind of what you have planned for the future and where everyone can find you at.
You can find me here at Intro Lift Medical Spa in Plantation. You can follow me on Instagram. The page is Needle Daddy. Easy to remember, hard to forget. That was one of my clients started that as almost like as a joke, and it kind of turned into the main thing. But it's been kind of fun because now I have this kind of like alter ego online. So you can follow me there on Instagram, and you can also follow the Intro Lift page on Instagram. We have a page as well. But I just plan on, you know, keeping on and growing my skill set, growing my list of happy clients, and, you know, just trying to provide the best results as consistently as I can. So
amazing. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me again to talk more about the aesthetic and anti-aging industry. And until next time, see ya. Bye.